Welcome to episode 46 of the What the Sheep podcast, where Alana and myself will be discussing and breaking down Critical Role came into episode 137. Oh boy, we got some stuff. Now I know Alana, you wanted to say something. You wanted to get a message out to the people at the start of this episode. Let's hear it.
I did, and not to jump ahead, but
Of course.
I just want to let people know that last week's episode, when I said that I'm not fully on board the Tharizdun train, it was a brief momentary lapse of judgment. And these things happen, and I just want people not to judge me too harshly on that, because this train has fucking left the station and I'm back on board the Tharizdun bus, guys.
Yes.
Yep. So just ignore what I said last week. I mean, don't go back and watch it. Just pretend it never happened, okay? Yeah. Momentary lapse of judgment.
Mistakes happen. Life is all about admitting your mistakes, knowing when you were wrong.
Get in early.
Yeah. Tharizdun's back, baby.
No.
Tharizdun's back.
Yeah, Tharizdun's back. 100%. Tharizdun never left.
No,
Lana just felt sad. I don't know.
Yeah. But it doesn't cause sadness is leveling up in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yay!
That invokes a different emotion, a more joyful emotion, which is pretty nice.
I find it funny that they would have had this pre-recorded. Well, I guess we don't know when they pre-record, but they released it right before the episode. I wish we had a little bit more time to talk and theorize about their level ups, but still pretty cool. So we do a quick rundown of the level ups, because they didn't really do it too much here, and also they haven't rested yet, so they haven't actually taken on any of their new features.
I think my favorite level up is Ford, just at a first glance, because of that tough feat. My boy almost has 200 HP.
That's pretty.
He's a thick boy. He's a thickums.
Not to forget though what happened to the last party member that took the tough feat, but we won't dwell on that too much. But yeah, so anyway, Ford, he took a level in Warlock, so he's now a Warlock 12, Paladin 3. He got the ASI feat thing, so he took tough, and he gets one invocation, which we don't know what he took. So one additional invocation to what he already has. So there's a ton of stuff, and there's also a ton actually that open up when you get to around level 15, which is pretty cool. So or level 12, sorry, I should say level 12. I think there's some like level 12 specific to the one with the sword, whether he is Pact of the Blade.
Yeah, Hexblade.
Yeah, like Life Drinker. When you hit a creature with your pact weapon, the creature takes extra necrotic damage.
Oh,
that's pretty basic, to be honest. That's not super exciting.
Do you like heal from it or something? Because it's called Life Drinker.
You would think.
Oh, you don't. It's just
no.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a lot less cool.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, Life Drinker. I'm gonna read this one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty tame. It's pretty it's equal. I should say it's damage equal to your. I lost it. Equal to your charisma modifier. So, what's he got? Like a +5, or is it +5?
+5, I believe.
Oh, that's actually shit. That's actually really shitty.
And then monks at the same level get like some where Bo doesn't need to eat or drink anymore. Is that what happened?
Yeah. So Bo got Timeless Body, which means she does not age at all. Well, she doesn't show the effects of age. She obviously still ages. She can die of old age. She still has a regular human lifespan, but she will not show the signs of aging at all, which is kind of a little sad, because one of my favorite Critical Role artists is Alan the Lost, who does beautiful Bo Yasha in their elder years. But now it's just but Bo's not going to look like that.
Bo's not going to, yeah. Oh, no.
But yeah, she doesn't eat food or water either, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, I guess, really come up too much, but still ridiculous to think as a person. One of the coolest ones is Yasha gets persistent rage, so the only way her rage can fail now once activated is if she falls unconscious or if she wills it to.
So she's just even more indestructible.
She's she can't go down, essentially. I mean,
it's so ridiculous.
I mean,
but she can still wait. But she can still wait. So how does it work?
down.
Even if she still loses all 3 death saving throws, is that when she's still dead? I can't remember what happened.
So she has Rage Beyond Death and Persistent Rage. So Rage Beyond Death, when you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You still make death saving throws and suffer the normal effects. However, if you would die due to failing death saving throws, you don't die until your rage ends. So she would, if she gets dropped to 0, she still makes death saving throws. She's still up. It doesn't count as falling unconscious. So as long as she's raging, and she could be at 0 hit points as long as she's raging, for forever. I'm not sure if there's an actual time limit to rage, but basically forever. And all she
actually
needs to
do, cool.
If she does take damage while that and she loses her death saves, like she just needs to be healed. She just needs like a little.
Is it like the instant counter to that just a sleep spell?
Yes.
Since she's technically at 0 HP.
Yeah. 100% it would be sending them unconscious. Would be the best way. Or I mean, normally it might be for a barbarian to restrain them so that they lose their rage. Oh no, that's technically attacking them.
But then what you do is you make an elf. You make an elf barbarian because they can't be put to sleep magically.
True.
Big brain.
Very true.
Easy.
Yeah, incredible. We have Veth gets Slippery Mind, which is pretty cool. It's nothing to scoff at, I don't think. Like, it's probably the least exciting, but she gets to add her proficiency bonuses to her wisdom saving throws. So she now has a +5 on whatever her wisdom save is, which I don't know what that is. I think her wisdom's generally pretty low, so it's probably actually good to get that bump. But that's pretty much all she gets. No improvements to... Oh, Veth is already proficient in wisdom, Adam is saying.
Oh.
Well, that sucks.
So Veth gets nothing.
Veth gets nothing. Veth gets some hit points. That's a shame. And then we have our clerics. They get 8th level spells, which is really exciting. So we have things like Earthquake. We have things like what's that other one? I said I was going to have these up, and I didn't. They only get access to 4 8th level spells. There's... I'm pretending as if I have them up. I'm getting them up now. So Anti-Magic Field, which also wizards have access to. So yeah, it's essentially like what
Lucian has,
yeah, except it's a big old field. It's only a 10-foot sphere. Control Weather, pretty self-explanatory. Earthquake, shake the ground. You can like knock a bunch of people over, create fissures. And Holy Aura, where it's kind of like a big old bless. So you shade your allies in holy light. They get advantage on saving throws, and other creatures have disadvantage on attacks against them. And if they do attack them, they can be blinded. So yeah, I mean, it's 8th level. It covers a lot of people. I think every one within a 30-foot radius. So that is big. It is obviously the concentration. So it's one that you might have.
And I feel like they would. I think. Yeah, because it's 8th level. I think they're better off using Yasha's battle cry instead of burning like an 8th level spell on Holy Aura.
Yeah, I think for the clerics, the 8th level spell, I mean, that wouldn't be terrible to have, because the advantage on saving throws and the disadvantage on attack rolls is the big thing for that one.
Yeah, that is pretty big.
It makes your allies that much harder to hit, and if they get hit, there's a chance that it damages the creature. So it's pretty good. It is, though, like, it's tricky to cast. Like, if you cast it and you get hit a second later, but the thing is, you aura it up, so pretty safe. Then we have, of course, last but not least, we have Caleb, who also gets 8th level spells. I'm not going to go into all the 8th level spells because they get much more options. He gets to pick 2, but some that I thought were quite cool, and one that I'm really excited and kind of hoping he takes from a fan fiction-y point of view. He has access now to Demiplane, which is you create almost like this little room that you have the access to. You create a doorway to this little room, and it stays up for a bit of time, and then it closes, and anything inside and any creature inside remains in that demiplane, and the door disappears. And then you can recreate a door back to it again, or you can make a new demiplane. In my mind, I'm like, I just immediately thought of like he puts the collar on Trent and then he puts him in a demiplane. Like, doesn't kill him, but that's kind of
locks him away though.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
it's very like Zuko.
What if that's what Trent did with Caleb's parents and they're not actually dead?
You heard it here first, guys.
You heard it here first.
I feel like they're the easier things in a demiplane for trapping.
Yeah, probably.
But it does also create like they're in a separate plane, so like things that would either find people on the plane don't work. It's really cool. I like that idea. We've got a couple other ones. So we've got like control as well, clone, which is really cool. There's some fun clone talk earlier in the campaign. Maze is pretty funny. It's like banishment, except the person needs to make intelligence checks to get out. And Feeble Mind. Feeble Mind is a fun callback to the first campaign. I like Feeble Mind a lot. I mean, it's the type of spell that's you'd only use it in a campaign where you're comfortable with people, because it's very much about, you know, taking that agency away from players, but it is a very narratively exciting spell.
Yeah.
Every time it was used in campaign 1, it was beautiful. And the theory is, of course, that Trent used it on Caleb. For his years in the sanatorium. So I think it's cool.
I hate Trent. I hate Trent so much.
Yeah.
Oh god. What a little shit.
Yeah. But that's pretty much the rundown. They got a couple of hit points. I don't think, apart from Caleb was the only one that got max, but still under 100, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Stone.
Oh, wizards. So squishy.
And Laura consistently rolling the worst when it comes to healing or hit points or anything. Like, oh my goodness, I feel so bad.
I think Matt said this was the 2 times in a row that she's rolled a 2 for HP.
Yeah.
Pretty rough.
Pretty rough. But yeah, so that's it. That's the level ups for our lovely Mighty Nein. I'm excited for them to hopefully survive long enough to have a sleep to.
Yeah, it's how are they ever gonna get a rest on this place? I don't know. Like, I want them to get a rest, but I don't want them to sleep, because I'm worried about what that could do to them in this place.
Yeah, I'm legitimately worried about them. Even if they do survive this upcoming encounter and they get a chance to sleep, they don't have the tower. They're going to be in the dome. Like, we'll get to that. Yeah.
I am really excited though that this is like an actual city that they can explore and stuff. Because I was thinking it was just going to be, you know, like a boss in itself, and there was no exploration to be had.
It strangely feels more like a city than Aor did, Crashed in the Ground. I guess because like it's lit. Well, it's not lit up, but like it's got the denizens. It's got not so much destruction around, but then obviously when you look closer, it's, you know, squishy and gross and people are one. But I like it. It feels like they're in a new city. Whereas when they're in Aor, it felt like they're in a dungeon, I guess. So yeah, I really like that aspect. But I feel like when they were trying to decide where to go after Lucian or Kree, that was like just so stressful of like, which one is it? Matt saying like not really giving them any help with it. I wonder if like he kind of always intended them to follow Kree, but I don't know. What do you think about that? The fact that they have managed to follow Kree, do you think that's the good choice or the bad choice?
I think that's the tactically that's probably the good choice.
Yeah.
Because Lucian, I think, is like on the edge of like a mental break.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Of like Molly appearing again or something happening.
Yeah.
So getting rid of Kree just makes it a lot easier to focus on turning Lucian if they want to do that. However, narratively, I wanted to see like a Kree betrayal on Lucian. I really wanted to see that. So I'm a little, I'm personally a little sad if this is Kree's end. Not to jump ahead, but tactically, it probably is better that they went to the Kree. First.
I think though there might be underestimating Kree. Not suggesting that they don't recognize the risk of fighting Kree, but it's shaping up to be a 1v8 battle potentially. If it does go that way, I think Kree, we can presume, is fully well rested, has all their spell slots, potential like able to like cast 8th level spells. And not to say that an 8th level cleric can take on a party of 8, but these guys are wasted at this point. They are so low on hit points, they're so low on spells.
It's pretty rough. One high 8th level or 7th level damage spell with people failing is like immediately like 2 or 3 of them immediately falling unconscious.
They're in this super thin corridor to send Firestorm down there. And
that would be nasty.
Or
maybe she even has well, the Intuit charges take time to activate.
And we don't know actually if she took damage from that or not. So that might affect her, so she might not set it up. They're not as low on spells as we think. I know that it's just like they could be better. They could be better on their spells.
Not at peak.
They're definitely not at peak. But yeah, no, I'm excited for that. Let's talk about the start of the episode.
Oh yes. We're doing a reverse thing where we go from the end of the episode and then work our way forward. Not too much to note in the beginning parts. Just a couple of cute little sheep-lib moments of trying to figure out if this was permanent or not, and then Caduceus giving the old bonk. To revert Caleb back was pretty cute. But for me, because when I initially just thought that Cognosa wasn't going to be like an actual city, because in my mind I just pictured it as like this corrupted thing, but the way Matt was describing it was no, it looks like a city. It's just like at certain points it drops its facade, it twitches a little bit.
It's like there is something trying to make it appear as a regular city, like it's barely holding it together though, because then he mentions like the tentacles like dropping out from underneath it, almost like that's its true form perhaps, and the top side is how it's presenting itself. Much like the people in the city, they're just presentations of what it should look like. I like the idea of one, that the Somnovan can seemingly inhabit any of these bodies they like, but also that there are trapped souls that aren't necessarily in charge. Like there are the thousands of people that are from the city, and as they're killing them, they're like, thank you, and like they're showing relief of being let go. It's horrifying.
That is very horrifying, because then it's like, yes, their minds are shattered, but there's still enough of them there that recognizes what's happening.
But it's weird to think that they still have connection to these bodies. Like, are the people, are the citizen souls inhabiting these bodies, or are these just husks? I'm thinking they must be inhabiting these bodies, even though they're, as you say, they've kind of lost their minds and they've lost their control. They're just going about the motions, or sitting scarily in a room by themselves. That they are still in there. They are still souls, essentially, which, you can find peace. Still terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Awful. The imagery of this episode was just the stuff of nightmares. I'm all here for it.
I love horror. Body horror is like a subset that's like really tricky. But like I love The Thing. I love like zombies, all that sort of stuff. The physical stuff didn't bother me too much. It's the screaming I don't like. Whenever Matt like opens his mouth wide and starts screaming,
Yeah.
I'm just like, nope.
Oh, that actually terrified me. When
Yeah,
he did
because
that.
I think it's just because he opened his mouth so wide,
Yeah.
and I like that they mentioned it. Look, they thought it was just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. No, that was a lot, but so well described. Like I've got such a clear visual of this city and
Mm-hmm.
just its general makeup that I'm excited to. I guess I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, but now we have to, because again, the imagery of this city reminds me of the corruption of the old gods from World of Warcraft. This very, fleshy uh, theme with, eyes appearing every now and then. That's very reminiscent of the corruption of the old gods in World of Warcraft. So, what do we think this city is? Is the city like a being that just took over? Or is this a result of the Somnovum and they did this? Or the Somnovum corrupted by something that then made them create this?
Let me get my little train conductor hat out here as
Yeah.
I bring this theory to you. So we see that the creatures that were created when one of the some of them, Ira, like had his meltdown, and we got essentially these kind of almost like gibbering mouthers, but I think they're homebrewed a bit more. But they're
Mm-hmm.
essentially like gibbering mouthers, the big fleshy beasts with mouths and that. The descriptions of pretty much everything Matt was doing was so similar to Oban the Punished that I can't not make the connection to Tharizdun of
Yeah.
imagine this city suddenly appearing in the astral sea, falling into this psychic storm, as Lucian called it, and running in with Tharizdun. And he essentially transform. I shouldn't say he. I think Tharizdun is pretty much genderless at this point, but Tharizdun transforms this city into an entity, into almost like
Yeah.
a punished version of itself.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where like the hunger and the insanity kind of comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly trying to reach out. It might be Tharizdun's method or vehicle to get to the material plane. The divine gate's a bit tricky with the astral sea of where it passes through, and if you can pass through it through the astral sea, but this might be its attempt to transverse back to the material plane. Because yeah, I just can't break away from the imagery is just so strong. It's
Yeah.
almost
That's a
exactly
good
like what
that's
we
a good
have. And
parallel.
constant talk of, oblivion of
Mm-hmm.
Matt described. I mean, I freaked out too easily. I freaked out too easily. Him describing the astral city, saying like remnants of chains like floating through.
Oh my.
What do you think?
And Tom, I didn't even know how. I didn't even think of this.
Yeah,
Tom
oblivion.
Rantel talking about, because Tamore and Ira
Yeah.
were talking about oblivion.
Oblivion must be destroyed, is what Tamore was saying. And then Ira later was talking about talking about how like Guardius, I think, was wanting to bring the darkness and bring the oblivion.
Oh my god. We are back on the Tharizdun train, everyone. Tharizdun has made its way back into our theories. Holy shit.
And
we were never wrong.
There was a test. Last week was a test.
Yeah.
He was true. No, but 100%. I mean, I don't see even if he's not in the city and is just controlling it from afar and is just trying to get more influence in the world. There has to be a Tharizdun connection. There has to be some kind of driving force from them, because we know, like through the Angel of Irons, that the Trammels need to be not the Trammels. The Trammels was campaign 1.
Yes.
The Thanes, whatever, needed to be broken for them to be released. But who knows? Might have found another way to do it.
Yeah. But what it sounds like, see, this is okay. So with Tamore and Ira,
Tamore and Ira,
it sounds like they are aware, kind of the insanity that some of the other ones have sort of gone into.
cognizant of it.
Yes. So, but here's my other thing. Are the Somnovum each individuals, or did they used to be one, and the psychic storm like fractured their mind, and they separated into these different emotions? Because they're
really
different names. Their different names are different emotions.
Yeah.
Or
really cool.
if they weren't one individual, are they just the manifestations of all of the different emotions that the thousands and thousands of people felt when the city vamped here?
Yeah. I like that a lot. I think, because have we seen anything in AOL that when they talk about the Somnova, if they talk about the Somnova though as a group, I think we have too much information of them being
Yeah.
multiple people before this happening, like multiple physical people. But I really like that idea of them kind of maybe encompassing all the emotion that the other citizens have brought forth. Like they've been here for thousands of years. Like let's think probably at least 2,000, 3,000 years. Yeah, they could have like fused as these base emotions. Yeah, I like
So
that a
then,
lot. That's pretty
because
cool.
Leah's saying they said it was 9 mages. So then, I think it could be possible that these names, Ira, Gaudius, Miramis, might not actually be their real names. It's just all they know because of the emotions they feel.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's kind of like leaning into that naming convention of naming a character before they find their potential.
Yeah.
Which is like such a it's fine. Do what
Yeah.
you like, but it's
Yeah.
always a little silly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, but maybe that could be a really good point. I like the idea of these. I did not expect this. I was not
Yeah,
expecting
no.
this. Oh, them to get there and the Somnovum to be like obviously fractured, but like
Mm-hmm.
infighting, like having almost like
Yeah,
an
it's super
divine
interesting
kind of war.
because Matt has done such a beautiful job at making this entire campaign very morally gray. And it's even here. Because we had just written off the Somnovum to be all, chaotic evil. They only want destruction stuff. But now we're seeing that it seems like some of them are still staying true to what they originally wanted when they were alive. And that is, seeking, the destruction of the gods and forging their own path.
Yeah.
And now it seems like it feels like Ira still wants that because he was talking, or they were talking about creating something from destruction.
Yes.
That could have been the destruction of the gods. Obviously that would
Yeah.
be absolutely catastrophic. And then whatever happens after the destruction of the gods, they can build, they can rebuild.
Yeah, which is playing onto Cad's vision from the Wild Mother of if this city comes back.
Yeah.
Like that could have been interpreted as the world's gone, but it could have also been like I'm gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So it's interesting because while it seems like Tamore and Ira are kind of on the same side because they were both talking about how Elatus, Luctus, and perhaps Gaudius were wanting to seek oblivion and to bring it back. It sounded like Tamore just wants to go home. And they want to endure, they want to survive. But Ira also wants to stop Luctus, Elatus, and Gaudius from seeking oblivion, but Ira also still seeks the destruction of the material world so they can create something new. So it's interesting that there's these different, realms of thought that the Somnovum are having on what they want to do. They just gotta find the one that's good.
Yeah,
good one.
But they also talked about destroying their essences or like destroying their. So that makes me think like they said at the Aether Crux that you could destroy their essence. So what like does that mean there's like some kind of soul jar or some kind of phylactery or some kind of crux of their souls where they have this physical interpretation? Because we don't know what happened to the city when they physically went there. Clearly a little bit of corruption happened. But so far we only have details of what happens to a mind when it goes there. Like Lucian went.
Could it be like I'm purely spitballing here because I'm trying to figure out like what this essence means. Like just throwing out an idea that maybe we can branch off of, because I don't think this is correct. But like, what if in this Aether Crux, because they knew, the Somnovum knew that the destruction of Aer was happening because they were able to bamf out. They were able to take their segment of the city out. So maybe they had like a cryo chamber where they put their bodies in for safekeeping until everything blew over and they were able to then teleport back. But unfortunately, obviously, they encountered a psychic storm and that didn't happen. So maybe in this Aether Crux is like the chamber where all of their bodies are, but they're like, their physical selves are locked away in this thing, but their minds are still, free to wander, possibly do the psychic stuff or some other type of magic.
Kind of similar to like what happens with astral projection, like this spirit leaves.
Yeah.
And that could lead into this idea of the citizens of the cities, of how they still have a soul attached, even though it's almost like one entity. Like perhaps the citizens didn't have this, so they have formed into this one creature, but they still manage to maintain some semblance of their life that they had.
It's pretty tricky.
We got so much information, but it just kind of had more questions. It was like an episode of Lost. Like, I want to know more. Like, I wasn't expecting this infighting. I wasn't expecting to meet members of the Somnova and then like, hey, we have a quest for you. Like, oh no.
No, I love that idea of potentially allying with members of the Somnovum. Just because, again, like we were saying before, we had just assumed that the Somnovum were pure evil.
Yeah.
But it's because, and to be fair, we still don't know the name of, I think, so we have Ira, Tamore, Elatus, Gaudius, Luctus, and Miramis. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's still 3 other ones.
Yes.
That we don't know about. So we're not sure where their allegiances lie, what they think. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, Ira named specific ones, so it's almost like they have suspicions already, or they have alliances or disagreements already, because you're not like, who stole this? Was it you and you? You don't pick your best friends, like, you pick the people you most suspect. So it's almost like Ira doesn't like, what are they?
Hold on.
Miramis and Guardius, specifically.
Hold on, here's an interesting parallel, just like a cute little literary narrative thing. There's 9 Somnovum. How many members of the Cerberus Assembly are there? 8 or 9?
Might be 8.
I think it might be 8.
Let's see how quickly I can check before Adam beats me to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dang. Gonna say it'd be a fun little.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
It's like weird time travel stuff.
Yeah, maybe weird time travel stuff. Or I was gonna say it'd be interesting to be like, okay, which member of the Cerberus Assembly did we think matches with, which Somnovum, just as a fun little activity.
Trent is all of them.
Yes, of course. But so we do know that their names, thanks to Leo messaged us earlier, they're like Latin based and they're different emotions. So we have Ira as wrath/anger, Tamore grief, fearful, Elatus happiness, Gaudius joy, Luctus greed. Not sure what Miramis is.
Miramis to me sounds like any kind of like Mira, Mira, is like almost dreamlike. That's me breaking out the very little Latin I know. Mira, and like it's dream and like wonderful Mira. So peace.
So could be like a visionary almost. They see the big picture. So maybe Miramis is the one who's kind of maybe spearheading
Yeah, so Mira can be look, a glance, intention, aim, sight, scope, but specifically to Latin, it's like to do with wonder and yeah. There's so many different fucking interpretations. So many different interpretations of
But okay, so we have wrath, we have anger, fearfulness, happiness, joy, greed, and wonder. What do we think the other 3 emotions could potentially be? I'm not too good with
lordy.
with the emotions.
What did we say? One was like kind of proud?
No. That could be one of them.
If we're looking at like the classic 7 deadly sins, pride is kind of like the big one. Or it could be like envy, or it could be
Oh yeah.
it could be
envy,
any kind of sensation or any kind of emotion people feel.
Ooh, sleepy, dopey, and sneezy. Oh yeah.
Doc?
That could Doc? Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. So maybe like prideful, envy, lust.
Yeah, any of those good ones. It could be like it could be things like yearning. It could be things like like want. That's kind of like yearning. But any kind of emotion. It could be like sensation. It could be yeah, I don't know. YouTube is the somnovum, Amanda. 100%.
Oh yeah.
We're currently
they don't want us talking
with,
about it.
Bed with us. Attacking us right now.
Oh no. But I do love this dynamic between this somnovum. It's super interesting and definitely not something we expected, because now they have two quests essentially. One to stop Lucian and Kree, and now 2 to investigate what the heck these somnovum are trying to do, because we still don't really know. We're getting hints. Like, again, we're getting half answers, because we're like, okay, what does the somnovum want to do? Well, they want to come back to our world and wreak havoc. But now that we're actually talking to some of the somnovum, it sounds like some of them are seeking this oblivion, whatever that may be, whether it's Tharizdun or the destruction of everything. Some of them, Tamore, just want to survive and go back home and maybe try to go back to the way things were. So it's very interesting that. So from the dreams that we had, it seemed like they were all on a united front.
Yes.
That they're all of the same mind, the same idea. But now that we're actually here, it's we realize how shaky it actually is.
Which kind of makes it seem as if there's like a singular thing in charge, or a singular entity perhaps controlling it. What did you think about them saying they couldn't see the Nonagon? Do you think that was like spatially, or like they were blind to what Lucian was doing?
That is interesting, because immediately that made me think that Lucian is up to something. Lucian, I don't think is fully planning on doing exactly what the somnovum want, and so he's masking himself somehow. I have no idea how he's doing that, because I would think that as the Nonagon, the somnovum would be able to instantly ping his location, figure out where he is, especially if the somnovum are able to see the rest of the party and Kree, because they said they were able to see Kree. So to me that either feels like Lucian himself is up to something, or Lucian is allying with one or a few of the other somnovum who are blinding the others to him to accomplish what they want.
I kind of thought that too, because it seems like the eyes are almost like gifts from an individual somnova member. Like that seems to be almost kind of what we can maybe relate to that. So Lucian himself has said that, or has acknowledged that this group is unstable, and he's called them batty, and he's called them kind of like there is some insanity to them. So the idea that Lucian would just be like, hey, let's just bring it back. He's clearly got a plan. He's he has something that he wants to do, and whether I like that idea of maybe him aligning with some of the Somnovum, or maybe just doing something completely different and trying to that might be too much of a shift of if it's like, oh, he's trying to destroy it. I don't think that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very interesting. As you said, you would think someone with the eyes would just be able to be
Yeah.
seen. Unless
Yeah.
these creatures are not as powerful in that sense as we thought. They
Yeah.
might have been so muted from all this time here and have lost their abilities and lost their powers, and that's why they need the Nonagon. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
need this vessel. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with everything.
Me too. Me too. But before we go any further, let's take a breather and look at some let's look at some fan art. Let's take a look-see at some fan art, starting with Alana's pick for this week. Let's take a look. Switching over, this wonderful art has been done by @Eldritch Blep. I love that name, actually. Yeah, Eldritch Blep on Twitter. Some really gorgeous Kree art.
Yeah, this is from a little while ago. But I was just like, I wanted a Kree-centric artwork for this one. Oh, she's so beautiful.
She is.
I love the
Look at that.
I'm excited. The robe with the eyes on it. I just want.
Oh yeah, look at that! I didn't even notice.
I just want to know where she's at. We've not had too much of her, apart from like early on in the season when she wasn't this threat. She was like, she was Kree with a lowercase c at this point. I just want to know where her head's at, what she's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
How far into it is she?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She is a whole lot of mystery. That's why I'm hoping. I don't think there's gonna be I don't think Kree's gonna fight them in the next episode. Maybe she'll throw like a firestorm if she or something like that. But she's clearly outnumbered. But she also expressed that she wants to kill them. Doesn't really care about them.
I don't think she's going to instigate a fight.
No.
Because Lucian clearly, to some extent, wants people there and wants, don't kill unless you have to, unless they get in the way of the plan. I think the Mighty Nine are just going to trigger the fight. Like, they're not going to let her go. They want to get to the next room and stop whatever she's set up.
Yeah.
So, unless she submits, I think they're going to try to kill her.
Oh, I don't want her to die though. There's so much. Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I guess if they kill her, at least take her head so that they can, speak with her. Because there's so much of Kree that I still want to know about. But I guess we'll have to see. I really hope she doesn't die. Really hope she doesn't die.
Yeah, I just because she's just a cool character. She's got like some cool story. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. @Eldritch Blep on Twitter. And then my pick doesn't really have anything to do with the episode or anything. It was just a really gorgeous Veth/Caleb art done by @Elartris on Twitter. I just saw this and I was like, wow, this is absolutely beautiful. It's just such a simple little thing. We have sad Caleb on the left here, and then Veth looking proudly in his direction.
Oh wow. I love the tattoos on Veth.
Yeah.
I love how every artist, obviously includes it because it is her tattoo, but it's such a cool design.
It really is.
Little halfling ears.
I know.
The button earrings. Yeah.
This is like the prettiest Veth that I think I've seen as far as fan art goes.
That's a good looking Caleb too.
Yeah. It was looking real nice. I like the little Chaos Crew tattoo on the arm.
Chain breakers.
Yeah. Chain imagery again. Yeah. It just all comes back. Veth is the Chaos Crew is Tharizdun. They've been infiltrated.
It's that type of thing, like the things that kind of I I don't want to use the word trigger lightly, but the things that like set me off whenever I'm watching Critical Role of like, it's Dawn Tversky, it's chains, it's weave, and that's about it. Those three things.
Pretty good.
I'm like, what's this? What's happening? What now? Yeah, I love.
Oh, the link for that? Let me.
You want me to find it?
Yeah.
I'll get it up.
Yay. But anyways, so we've kind of been bouncing around this episode a little bit. We don't usually do that, but you know, it happens. But before we wrap up this discussion of the episode, I want to talk a little bit about the combat that we got. Because while it seemed like those things weren't, you know, heavy in the HP department, they packed a punch with their attacks still.
Yeah.
That was pretty ridiculous.
That was like, I think, I don't know if I wonder if that fight could have been avoided, in the sense of they probably could have run away, but they clearly needed to explore this area and like go into that tower. That's the entrance to where Kree was. So I think, that fight was unavoidable in the sense, unless it could have been avoided by having a better conversation with Ira.
That's true. Yeah.
Who knows? But just another kind of thing on their plate of oh no, let's be at peak when we fight the Tomb Takers. Oh no.
But it doesn't seem like it might have. I don't think Ira consciously wanted that to happen. I think it might have just been like the emotion that he was feeling like triggered it, because he wanted the party to help them. So why would they then want to kill, you know, the potential allies?
Had no control of it. It was almost like lost control, and this aspect of the city that is hiding itself, or kind of not mirroring itself, putting on a front, lost control. And so we see what it truly was. Like, these bodies moving the seat are actually these horrible creatures. And everything's connected. That's the creepy thing to me. The fact that the creature can move up the tree, and the tree itself is also like a living flesh. What's super cool is, I think, Cad's decompose. The fact that he could touch part of the city and it was taking. He could. That's a cantrip for him. He could just walk and like cast decompose as he goes, and maybe try to weaken some parts of the city. But I guess, as we learned, the city is massive. It's bigger than they expected.
It would definitely take a lot of walking around. Fully compose.
8th level decompose.
The entire city.
Can't cantrip at a high level.
But what was funny that I thought was going to be like a gag, when Bo sort of lost her mind for a second there and attacked Yasha due to something. I thought, you know, Travis was going to be like, she's changed, and Beth kind of did do that. It's like, kill her. She's not on our side anymore. Was pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Confusion is such a fun mechanic in fighting. No, that was a good little fight. It was good to have a little bit of combat. I think when I watched it after it was live, and so when I got in, I'm like, this is a 3-hour episode. Either it's going to be like a lot of setup, or it's going to be really bad. So when they went to the break just before the fight started, I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like, did people die? I was really nervous, but that was just kind of a short episode in general. And
it kind of makes sense too, because I think Matt wants, you know, the Kree thing to be its own.
Don't want to jump,
big
and I
thing.
think he said like he needed to build this battle map, because perhaps he didn't expect them to go this way. Which is also interesting. I just think, I mean, I want to talk about it just quickly too before we finish up. And I know everyone's kind of talking about it, but he did say, when talking about the body horror, he's like, I know it's body horror heavy as we enter the final arc of this story. Now, I think we could talk about this forever, of like what it could be. At base level,
fully.
It means like the final arc. But let's spin this.
Yeah, let's not give up hope. Let's not give up hope yet. I had the same thought. I was like, no, please don't be hard confirming that this is the last story arc of this campaign. Some people in Discord reassured me that we think that Matt like misspoke kind of, and he more meant that this is the final like stretch of this chapter,
the final
of this
story of this arc.
Yeah. Yes.
You got his words mixed up.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that too, because I know that the plot, not the plot holes, the loose threads that we still have, like Ukatoa, the Cerberus Assembly, the Cobalt Soul, all that, they could be wrapped up quickly if they do survive the city and everything. But I don't think I don't think it'd be fair to Caleb's backstory if the Cerberus Assembly arc was wrapped up quickly. If this whole stolen beacon storyline with Essek was wrapped up quickly. I think it needs time. I think it needs its own thing. And who's to say the campaign needs to end with a big bad? I know that's kind of cinematic and narrative, but this could be the big fight, and then it's a very quiet end. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
guess quiet in the sense that there's not like a world-ending threat.
Yeah, they can still be combat, and there can still be danger, and there can still be intrigue. It's just not, Vecna or Somnovum. It's one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, but like the Trent issue. I don't want it to be. I could see it being it. I don't want it to be, and I'm going to try and stay positive that it's not the final arc. We'll see.
I'm definitely on that train. And then one final thing that I have before we wrap up. So now that we know that there are inhabitants kind of in this city, do you think we might actually like come across Yusa? Maybe?
Oh, it's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Yusa came in as their astral projected self.
Yeah.
So it would have been his soul, his mind and his soul. I don't know. From what we know from Lucian is Lucian got shattered. Lucian broke. And whether that's Lucian shattered because of Somnovum picked them as the Nonagon, maybe that's what caused it to happen. It's like, we're going to make you the Nonagon. If you're worthy, you'll put yourself back together again. Something like that. We don't know if Yusa has been shattered or if Yusa is still in the city somehow, having lost their mind, or has been assimilated, or is just, casually wandering around.
Yeah.
We don't even know if Yusa... Oh, wait, no, we do know Yusa, yes, because we heard the screams. So probably assimilated.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't expect Yusa to be like walking around like going for a morning stroll. He's probably just a part of the hive mind. Now part of the fractured emotions.
Tricky. I feel like that's too much of a setup with Yusa for them to just die. Like, if they destroy the city for Yusa to just be gone, I think there's definitely going to be some way to save Yusa. I think it'd be cool if there was some way to save the city. To, like, uncorrupt the city, save the people, and then have Aor as, like, this... We talked about it before, of, like, having some survivors of Aor go back into Exandria. It'd be cool if, like, this aspect of the city did actually return, and we got, wizards up north.
I could see that, because it could just be like, like a parasite that's inhabiting, the city. Because Matt was saying that parts of the city are still, there.
Yeah.
There was like metallic bits that they were coming across that were metal, that weren't, fully changed yet. So I feel like, knowing Matt, he would probably set up a way or have some chain of events to happen that would potentially save the city. I would really like to see that happen. That'd be super cool.
I think that'd be cool. I think it's probably like maybe a viewpoint that hasn't been thought about much of, save the city rather than just destroying it.
And that would also then mean potentially some of the Somnovum that they may ally with, maybe they could potentially save those members of the Somnovum if that could happen. But that's actually there's layers. There are layers to this.
I'm excited. I think
Yeah.
it's been a lot of build up to get to this point. I'm excited
Yeah.
that we're finally here. Like Aor has been a crush.
Yeah.
All of Isocross and then Aor and that
Mm-hmm.
little mini excursion to the Plane of Fire and Nicodrons.
Yeah.
It's been a crush. So
Yeah.
it feels almost like a relief to be to the city, even though it's not.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes. I can't wait for Kree. I'm
I
probably not gonna be
know.
able to watch live again next week, and
Oh
I'm just
no.
like, oh, I want to see what happens so
Yeah.
badly.
And I know we're pushed for time, but yeah, real quick, what do we think about Kree having eyes? Because before we were kind of just like, does she have eyes? Does she not have eyes? So now we know that she's probably read the book, which makes sense. But then that she also might be on track to become the Nonagon herself, potentially.
So
Which would then lend to her betrayal if that ever happens.
Matt said it was 2 eyes good, but we don't know if that's confirmation that she only has 2 eyes. It could have been her activating like Caleb, Bo, and then they activated.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's exciting. Like I said, Kree is just so interesting.
I know.
More
if there's one thing that I want from next episode, it's that Kree doesn't die.
Yeah,
I think that's the one thing that I want.
I think so too.
Which is funny because in previous episodes we were like, kill Kree, get rid of her. She's too powerful.
Kree goes first. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah. But if we don't have any other thoughts, feelings, emotions, I mean, fear is a pretty strong emotion from this one.
I suppose like happiness that Tharizdun is back in our lives.
Yes, yes. A triumphant return to our theories. I'm definitely excited to be back on the Tharizdun train. I mean, we always knew that it was gonna be a thing.
Yeah. I mean,
your comment last week was to do away with the weak links of the Tharizdun believers. It was to get rid of them. But now we're back.
Yeah.
Now we're back. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess with all that being said, we can go ahead and call this one a wrap. As always, thank you all so very much for joining us for this discussion. Those who are watching live, thank you so much for participating and hanging out with us. To everyone who's going to be watching this on the YouTube upload or on Spotify or Anchor, thank you so much for showing your support and for listening along with us on this crazy journey, the final arc of the story, according to Matt. But again, don't forget to love each other, but most importantly, don't forget to love yourself. That is the most important. And as always, of course, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.